Hi everyone. I see it's already 3 o'clock, so let's start, and then the rest will join. That will be a bit late. So my name is Julius. I'm the founder and CEO of Cloudvisor, and we are hosting today's webinar for all of you. And we also have Indrek here, who will be delivering the presentation. Indrek, you want to say hi to the audience?
Hello.
Thanks, Indrek. I'm very happy to have him and all of you joining this event, and I hope you'll find it interesting and useful. Before we begin, let me just say a few words about Cloudvisor and what we do for those who haven't heard of us before. So, first of all, Cloudvisor is an advanced tier AWS partner operating in Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, and we work closely with AWS to support the current and new AWS users in our region. Our main business line is AWS resale that is being used by a number of companies in the Baltics. So if your company is currently using AWS, I strongly suggest to check out the benefit packages that we offer as a bonus for your AWS spend. Next to that, we try to do a lot of things to build the local AWS community, and this webinar is a good illustration for that. Well, the main objective of for this webinar for sure is Trend Micro and the spectacular security solutions they have for infrastructure running on AWS. Yet, we also want to put your focus on the way you can start using those solutions in your AWS account. And the easiest and fastest way to do that is clearly AWS Marketplace. Those who are not too familiar with AWS Marketplace, well, they need to know that this is a curated digital catalog with thousands of software listings from independent software vendors, like Trend Micro. I think they're a very good example of those ISV. It allows AWS users to easily find, test, buy, and deploy solutions that are essential for cloud transformation and just to enrich the AWS services that they are already using. And as you see from this slide and the numbers in it, it's already very, very popular among AWS customers, and I would say it's growing extremely fast. As I mentioned before, there's a lot of vendors that are offering their solutions on AWS Marketplace, well, basically covering all the categories you can think of. And of course, security is definitely one of the biggest areas there, but you can even order things that are not even running on AWS, like a Cloud Guru online trainings or access to third-party tools or platforms. And of course, one may ask, why should I buy software through AWS Marketplace instead of the old usual way of doing that directly? Well, there are clear advantages, I would say, first of all, to the engineering and development teams, like fast and easy provisioning of the software and flexible delivery and consumptions. In many cases, you can even have the flexibility of how much you buy and how you pay, even maybe more flexible, or some choices that you can't even purchase directly from some ISVs. And next to that come the advantages to the finance department, which is of course also very important, like a streamlined procurement process, because you're buying with a click of a button, no special processes and agreements needed. And the consolidated billing part is also important because your third-party software becomes part of your monthly AWS bill. So one bill, one payment, and that usually works for finance department. On top of all this, I want to stress one benefit that is important for bigger AWS spenders who have an EDP, that is Enterprise Discount Program agreement signed. Please be aware that half of what you spend on AWS Marketplace counts towards your EDP commitment, which can be a game changer in some cases, especially if you want to keep up with the commitments you made to AWS in return for the additional discounts. Cloudvisor here plays a role of a specialized reseller. We're really focusing on that for the past 6-9 months. And we have a possibility to provide the custom AWS marketplace pricing for larger deals. And what is even more important is that we provide like no questions asked 5% off discount to all of our AWS resale customers that buy software from our top ISV portfolio that is growing bigger each month. And one of the first ones there was Trend Micro, that is one of the top vendors on the AWS marketplace, and putting a lot of effort to build products that are very closely integrated to AWS. And our goal today is to introduce those products to all of you, and a task that Indrek agreed to take on. He will be your today's speaker, and my role will be to support him along the way. So before passing the screen to him, I want to mention 2 things regarding the workflow of today's event. So first of all, your questions, of course, are very welcome, and please submit them in the Q&A section or the chat, and we'll go through them at the end of the presentation. And the event is being recorded, so we will share the recording with everyone tomorrow via email. And that's all from my side. Indrek, are you ready to take it from here?
Yep.
Okay. So I'm stopping the screen sharing.
My screen and launch the presentation. Let's see. Looks. Do you see it?
Yep.
Okay, all good. So my name is Indrek Turmen. I'm a sales engineer in Trend Micro. I have been in Trend Micro now more than 2 years, a little bit though. And I'm covering Baltic countries, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania. And Trend Micro is investing in this region. So we are 2 people in this region. Dainis Nazarovs, he is responsible of sales, and I'm then the technical part before sales. So I'm a part of we are part of the Nordic team, and my kind of sales engineers are more here. So a couple of in Finland and 3 in Denmark and Norway and Sweden, and we all form one team, and yeah, we help the customers even after sales. So if you have some technical questions and issues, and your support ticket is not moving maybe fast enough, then we can escalate it and so on. But so today's topic was how you can secure your cloud services, what you are purchasing or adopting. And today more focus on AWS. So maybe let's start. A bit of the introduction. So there is a digital transformation. Yeah, it means different things for different companies, but for us, what we see, it's like 2 strategies. Yeah, we see companies who are moving to the cloud so that lift and shift, yeah, get out of your physical data center as soon as possible and move to AWS, for example. And then there are other companies who have more time and they do it right. So companies have time to refactor their applications to cloud native applications. But both of them, they have impact on IT security. So if you move very fast to the cloud, you may lose visibility. And IT security has used to be familiar with a static environment, but in the cloud, everything is changing, or everything is super dynamic, and everything changes rapidly, and tools must be able to handle that. And on the right hand side, when you go refactoring and you are breaking your application to the smaller pieces, and you are running those in containers or serverless or in Lambda functions, it brings another problems that how do you secure those applications. So Let's focus now to what more to the Trend Micro side, that how can we help it. If we talk about the cloud builders, companies who are building in the cloud, then there are three key priorities. Yeah. So first one is a cloud migration. It's a transition and not an instant cutover for organizations, but it's a hybrid cloud is a norm, and many companies are using their on-premise data centers and also trying and testing out something in a cloud infrastructure like AWS or Azure or Google platform. And so they are running their physical servers and they are running their virtual instances, and they are running cloud instances like EC2 instances. Second priority is that now when you are refactoring your applications, or you are going more cloud native applications, then there is delivery is really fast. You iterate really often. You are using infrastructure as a code. You need to be fast. You are using much of the code reuse, and you open source and building code from repositories, and there are backend dependencies, and then you are using quite many different tools. If you want to secure those, you really need to integrate into those tools. So you are maybe using deployment tools like Ansible or Chef or Puppet, and then you are using pipeline tools like Jenkins maybe, or and so on and so forth. And you are running cloud workloads there as well. You might run EC2 instances which are part of the Kubernetes cluster, so that it's your own Kubernetes cluster. But you are, and then you are using also cloud storage like maybe Amazon S3 buckets and Azure Blob and Google Storage. And then you are running containers. Those containers maybe are in your Kubernetes cluster, but you might take it as a service, so AWS Fargate or Amazon EKS, and you are using serverless Lambda functions. So and at the same time you are building teams, and you are trying to form teams with the goal of achieving cloud centers of operational excellence, and you want everything to be repeatable and consistent, and you want to optimize and your infrastructure. And that's at the same time you need to be compliant with the different regulations like PCI and GDPR and NIST and HIPAA and many more. So if you take this complex environment and situation, that how do you secure it? Yeah. What kind of security tools can you use? And that, because there are many security tools available, what you can pick and choose, and what to choose and what to use and where to use. So let's see what Trend Micro can do. So we have in cloud, we have Cloud One platform. You can also find it from the AWS marketplace. So we have there 6 different services available. Not all of them are already integrated to the Cloud One platform, but all the services are available and you can use them. So let's focus. But yeah, so what is the Cloud One platform? It's a single sign-on. It's a common user and cloud account enrollment, and common procurement and billing, and common support and documentation, and it is expandable. And those 6 services, what we're offering today, so let's focus to those. I give you a short description what those are, and later then we deep dive into this a bit more. So workload security. Basically, it is we are protecting your workloads. Doesn't matter where they are those EC2 instances in AWS, or you're running virtual machines or physical machines in your own data center. We integrate to the AWS orchestration, we integrate to the Azure orchestration and Google platform, but we also integrate to the vCenter, so that we give you the visibility of all the servers which are running. Doesn't matter if those are if they already have security deployed or not, but we give you the visibility that those are existing already, and you can start to then deploy. So you get the visibility back. And when you are moving to the cloud, you very often lose the visibility. So you have single console to manage all your servers security, and you can deploy the policy from the same console. But if we move security before runtime, so what we can do there, we can actually scan those images which you are pushing to the container registry. So you are building your applications, you build your code, and you send the image to the registry. So in that registry, we can scan images. We are scanning those images for vulnerabilities, malware, content. You can do your custom scans with YARA rules and also compliance checks. And you can also integrate scanning to the pipeline tools. So you can even scan images before you push them to the registry. So this is what we are doing when we talk about container security, and also admission control. So you can control what kind of images, containers you allow to run in your Kubernetes cluster, for example. But if you don't have access to your workloads and you don't have container host access, but you are using containers as a service, then we can use application security. So basically, what we do, we bake security libraries. So we bake micro agent into your application. Of course, it needs to support some programming languages, which I'm going to talk a bit later. But yeah, so we can protect those serverless functions like Lambda, and we can protect your services if they are really cloud native and no access to the host itself. Then we have a file storage security. What we do there, we scan Azure S3 buckets or AWS blobs and Google some kind of bucket as well. So we scan for malware, and if there is some malware, we can quarantine it. And so if your customers are uploading files for you, and you can scan them before, or whatever you're doing with those S3 buckets, for example, in AWS. Cloud Conformity is a really interesting tool. Actually, this company, we bought more than a year ago. And this is the tool what brings back to you the visibility. So we are scanning your AWS tenant or AWS tenants or Azure tenant. And we are scanning those tenants for new services, because there are tons of services what you can use and start to use, and maybe your different teams are deploying those. So how can you be sure that those are configured in the right way? So first of all, we give you the visibility what kind of services you are using. And then we scan those services with many, many rules that are those compliant with different regulations. Is there any configuration errors? If there are some security issues, we give you the step-by-step guide how to fix those. We scan also for cost optimization and so on and so forth. So we're going back to this tool as well. It's really important. And then last and not least, it's a network layer security in AWS. Basically, it is an intrusion prevention system in AWS. We can scan network traffic to VPC, between VPCs, so from internet to internet. And we are scanning for a network level attacks, and we are protecting vulnerabilities on a network layer. So those are the 6 services in this platform. You can, of course, use them there. And but if you think about when it comes to IT security, so what is the most basic requirement what you want to have? Yeah, it doesn't matter where you are. So couple of seconds, thoughts? No? Yeah, so it's visibility. I think the visibility is the key. So if you don't see it, if you don't know it exists, you cannot protect it. Yeah. So let's try to see how can we bring visibility back when you are moving to the cloud or building in the cloud. So what kind of tool I think in my mind would be first to look at. Yeah? So it is cloud conformity. So what it does, well, okay, before it does, yeah. So I think it's actually true that Gartner, they are saying that through 2023, 99% of the cloud security failures will be the customer fault. Yeah, it's quite a hard statement, but it is, because there are so many tools. Developers are developing. There are many code repositories which are used. You are using already built-in images. So you are uploading stuff to the container registry, you're building, you're automating, you are using buckets, workloads. So it's quite complex and crazy environment. And it is rapidly, there are rapidly growing cloud services what you can use. And to learn everything, how to configure properly, the learning curve is quite long, and many you have many teams and you don't have the visibility. So and if you look what Google is offering, what Azure is offering, and what AWS is offering, so they have many services. So this is just example that how many services you can get from the AWS, and are you really on the top of the game that you know how to configure everything correctly. So it's quite challenging, I think. So this is cloud conformity. We connect to the cloud tenants. Here in the left side, you see 8 AWS tenants. One of those, well, 7 of those are demo tenants, and one of those is my test tenant. And we are constantly scanning those tenants, those services which are running there. And here is the score what we give that how good state it is your configuration. And this is overall score of all those tenants, but those tenants can also be looked separately. Last time we did 8,885 checks when we run this scan. And out of those scans, 30% failed and 70% succeeded. So I have 2 very high risk security issues in my AWS tenants. I have 338 high risk issues and medium risk issues. So this gives you really nice visibility what's happening. And now you can go and start and fix those problems. And you can start from the very high risk incidents and then move down in the line. So here is a dashboard which gives you actually also overview of all your tenants, in what kind of shape they are, how is security and cost optimization and reliability and performance efficiency. If you move down on dashboard, you will see those areas separately here. How is the score? And also you will see the line that how in time you have improved your compliance. This is demo tenant, so it shouldn't, you want those lines to be actually growing so that everything is getting better and better. In my case, something happened on the 18th of November. I know what happened. I added those demo tenants which are not configured very secure way, so my compliance went down. And also here in down below here you see how are your services configured in different regions. So for example, you see that here it is really in red state. You can click here and it will show you security issues which are related to this area in your AWS tenants. Yeah? So when you click you can display all your security events in a row, of course, and you can start to filter out those which succeeded, and you can leave only those which are failures. But here you see quite many things. Yeah, you see that you have some S3 buckets which have public read access, and then you have some with a public write access even, which is pretty bad. Yeah, then some buckets are not encrypted, and so IAM policy changes alarm not configured, and other issues what you could improve. And here in the left side, you will see that how many failures you have with some specific rule check. And you have a button here that, okay, now let's go and resolve this issue. So if you click it, yeah, we will bring you to the knowledge base. So where you can read that, okay, what is this security issue actually is, what it is. So here you can read about S3 buckets and so on. And we give you also the step-by-step guide how to fix that issue. We give you can do it either in the CLI, right side, yeah, with the CLI commands. We give you even commands how to fix it, but you can use also graphical user interface, which is in the left side. We have also the links so that it will get you directly into your tenant, and you can start to configure the way it is recommended here. And also you can filter your events based on the regulation. So you can check all the security issues which are related to the AWS well architecture framework. So let's say that you are not compliant with that, and we see that, and then we show you the list of the security issues which you should fix in order to be more compliant with those regulations. And as you see, here are many, many more regulations which are built into this tool. So what it is, yeah, so we automatically check all the services which you are running in those cloud infrastructures. And we have, in AWS and Azure, we have more than 70 plus services, more than 600, actually more than 700 already best practice rules, which we check. And we can also auto-correct problems if you allow us. But you can also, of course, correct them by yourself. So now when we got the visibility back, again, we see what kind of services we're running, where those are they configured properly. Now let's go to those EC2 instances which you are running in AWS, for example. Let's see if those are configured properly and what kind of security we can provide on that level. Yeah? So Cloud One-Workload security. So what it is, basically, it is security for your EC2 instances, virtual machines, physical machines, wherever those are running. It is an agent which is providing many security services inside the instance. So we, for example, we scan vulnerabilities in your EC2 instance. If we see some vulnerabilities, we apply automatically IPS rules accordingly, so to protect those vulnerabilities, because vulnerabilities are, I think, one of the key vectors what the bad guys are using to get in. Yeah? And vulnerabilities like the lock and exploit is like a key which is opening that lock in order to go into the door. Yeah. But we also add integrity monitoring. You can monitor your configuration or application configuration file changes, and we give you application control, log inspection, and malware protection. And of course, malware protection, we are using those modern techniques like behavior analysis and machine learning. But really important part is also automation and APIs. So we have APIs available. You can automate everything, and everything what you can configure in the graphical user interface, you can configure also via APIs. So we do integrate with those deployment tools because you can also deploy the agent automatically with the scripts. So if you're using Ansible, Chef, Puppet, you can put those scripts there. We also integrate with those orchestrations like AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, so you get the visibility of all the workloads which you're running. And of course, we have broad range of the operating system support. Yeah, so basically we categorize those services in the workload security 3 categories: network security, system security, and malware prevention. But it kind of repeats the previous slide, so I move forward. So this is example of how it looks. We connect to this workload orchestration in AWS or Azure or Google Cloud or vCenter. So you connect those tenants here, and you immediately get the visibility what workloads you are running. But we also give you the content that what kind of operating system this workload is running, and many more. And this brings you really valuable. This is really valuable. You can actually deploy the security based on the operating system, or you can deploy the security based on the other content. For example, maybe you want to deploy some specific policy to your web servers or database servers, or maybe you want to know if this is my financial workload, which should be with the other policy, or maybe some workloads which are exposed to the internet and serving something to the internet. Those should be protected maybe a bit more harder. So this is what we give you the visibility wise. And here you also see that we have one Docker host running here. This blue dot shows that, okay, this one is actually running containers. So you know that, okay, I have a workload which is actually a container host and hosting containers. And So we bring the visibility, and now you can start to protect it. Yeah? If you open that Docker host, then here you see that, okay, actually this host already has 7 security controls applied. Well, 2 of those are not active yet, but you're already doing malware prevention and IPS, the application control. So it is single agent. You don't need to deploy many agents, but we give you more. So we show you, okay, this one is actually Docker engine, and we can show you the version which is running there. We can also show you the availability zone in AWS and also the instance type, and we can show you what kind of security groups this one is inside, and also we give you the metadata. We can show you the tags. So if you are tagging your workloads in AWS, you can also deploy policy based on tags. So the automation is really key in the cloud. But if we talk about vulnerabilities, this is also a nice old slide, but this shell shock vulnerability, quite old, not relevant maybe today, but at that time, we got that slide from our customer. So it was 5 days after shell shock was available, or not available, but yeah, it was known to the world. This customer was using virtual patching with deep security agents. And they blocked more than 766 attacks in 5 days in more than 100 instances. So if you think that how fast can you patch your servers in your data centers, in your cloud, then I'm pretty sure that next day you don't have that patch yet deployed, maybe second day, not even first day. Usually in on-prem data centers, servers get patched like once or twice per month maximum, but not every day. But with virtual patching, it looks like every day, because if there is new vulnerability available, and you can run those vulnerability scans regularly, so that if we find a new vulnerability today, immediately we deploy the IPS rule to protect it. So for the bad guys, it looks like that this customer is actually patching every day, pretty difficult to get in. Yeah. And how it looks. So this is the view of the one workload. So intrusion prevention is activated, and I did the last time we did a recommendation scan to this. We found vulnerabilities and automatically applied 25 IPS rules to protect those. And those IPS rules are listed here, and we have all the references to the CVs and everything. So you can automatically start to block exploits for being to exploit the vulnerabilities. So to conclude it, so workload security, yeah, it is. You have marketplace billing available. You can have it. You can have the consumption contracts. So it is hybrid. You get hybrid cloud visibility across all the environments. So if you have multiple clouds in use, AWS, Azure, it's a single console. It gives you visibility. Also, we can auto detect and auto scale. It's really important because in AWS, usually if the load is going up, you deploy automatically new instances. So it is infrastructure as a code, yeah. But you want also to have the security as the code. When you are scaling up, you should also scale up it with the security. So we can bake the deployment scripts to the templates. So if you start some AWS instance from the template, you can add our script into the same template so that everything is automated. And if you scale down, we also remove those instances from the security console, so it cleans up as well. Yes, and there we can complement and integrate with AWS and Azure. So this is what we are doing in workload security. And also important part is that we really support thousands of kernels, and it is really rapid support for updates. So if there is a new kernel available in the morning, usually in the evening we have support for it. So we support many different flavors of the Linux and also Windows, but we also support old operating systems, so that if the Microsoft is not patching those anymore, we can still protect those. And yes, we do have the Solaris and IX in here as well. But if we talk about containers and we are talking about container host, then we can block those containers in the container host as well, not block, but protect. So we are monitoring traffic to the containers, and between the containers, we can scan those for vulnerabilities. But we are also blocking the host itself. So we are monitoring Kubernetes configuration file changes. Yeah. So if somebody is changing your Kubernetes, basically you are losing security. You might lose micro-segmentation or something like that. So we are really offering full stack protection to the container hosts. And yes, APIs really important. You can do everything via APIs. You can deploy security. You can deploy the agent automatically. We give you the scripts and everything. And yeah, you can monitor and orchestrate. And we give you the automation center where you can where we have all our RESTful API documentations available as example codes for you. You can go there, you can learn, you can find, you can test your code, you can verify, and you can get help from there. And there are several programming languages what we support. I recommend to check this out. So we now spoke that how can we protect workloads when they are running. But what can we do before we run our containers? Yeah. So for that we have container security, and what we can do, we are, excuse me, I'm drinking some water. So we can scan those containers before they go live. So if you upload your container, your images to the container registry, you are committing your code, you're building it, and you are pushing it to the registry. Then we can scan that image for vulnerabilities, for malware, for secrets, private keys, other indicators of compromise, but also for the compliance. But we can also integrate to the pipeline. So even we can scan the images even before they go to the registry. And how we do it? So let's say you are committing your code, you're building it, pushing it to the registry, and we can do pipeline scanning and we can do registry scanning. And if we find that this specific image is has vulnerabilities or has malware inside or some private keys, so we can block it to be deployed in runtime, and we can say to the developers that okay, here is an issue, that please fix this and this and this, and then you can run it. So first phase would be that you do the scanning in a registry. Which is good part is that, okay, we scan the image in a registry and we let the developers know that here is the issue. But if everything is okay and you deploy this container and you run it, the copy stays still in a registry, and we are constantly scanning that registry. And if we get the new threat intel, some new vulnerabilities or new malware, which we didn't know yesterday, but we know today, we alert you that here is the image which is running, but it has those vulnerabilities. So please fix them. Developers, they fix it. They replace the running one with a new one, and everything is okay. Yeah. But small problem here is that usually developers, okay, they say very nice. It's nice that you told me that this image has those vulnerabilities, but why didn't you say me a week before? Because maybe I'm already building, maybe it's already an old version, or maybe I'm already doing another project. So I would like to know before. So in order to do that, yeah, okay, sorry, I jumped a bit ahead. So here is a dashboard, how it looks in this security tool, that if you scan those images. So we have 5 different scanners actually scanning, malware, secrets, vulnerability, compliance, and custom. And we also cooperate with a Snyk, who is really good in open source vulnerabilities. Trend Micro has a 30 years history in cybersecurity, and we know very well all the commercial vulnerabilities, and we are really good at malware findings. But we cooperate with the SNUC to add more threat intel about the open source vulnerabilities. So if we find some vulnerabilities, then we of course alert here, and that is important, this threat intel, because everybody can do the scanners, but scanner is as good as it is as is your threat intel. So you can scan, but you have to also find something, and I think Trend Micro really finds a lot, and with the cooperation with the SNUC, we even find more. So, but when we come back this problem where the developer said that, okay, give me this information a bit more early phase while I'm building. So yes, we can integrate to the building phase. We can integrate to those pipeline tools like Jenkins. With the Jenkins, we integrate via plugins, but the rest, the others, we REST APIs. Basically, now the developer is committing code and building, and before it goes to the registry, it will be sent actually to our smart check. We scan it, and if it's okay, then we push it to the registry. And if it's not okay, we let the developer to know immediately already now in the building phase, here is the issue, please come and fix. This is really important. This makes the fixing much more cheaper and faster, because if something is already running and then you tell them that go and fix it, it's painful then to start all over again. But while you are building and you get that information that here is some problem, because you are using public repositories, you are using maybe somebody already built some image which you are using, or you are code reusing, so copy-paste coding, or there are packet dependencies. Many developers, they don't know anything about the packet dependencies, and those can bring an open source vulnerabilities. But if we could scan it in the build phase, it really helps. And we can integrate into those tools. So we also can integrate with the AWS pipeline tool. Here we are basically, here we call our scanner container, which is pulling in image, analyze it, we check it, and give it a result back. And it could be very well also the same with Azure pipeline tool. We can integrate most of the pipeline tools because those are using YAML, and so it's okay. And yes, it does slow down a bit your deployment, but typically it's with the small containers, it's 10 to 30 seconds. And usually the containers are small, it's only a single function. But if you are really building a big containers with many functions and they are big, then it might take maybe a couple of minutes to scan it. But still, in average, it would be delay down your pipeline maybe 1 minute, which is okay. It's a price you are willing probably to pay in order to fix issues, security issues in early phase. So we have done registry scanning. We are doing build pipeline scanning. Next, what we can do the admission control. So Kubernetes has admission control as well, but we enrich it. So what we do here is that we give you the graphical user interface where you can actually specify policy that, okay, what kind of images you are allowed to run in a Kubernetes cluster. So here, for example, we are saying that only those images can be run in Kubernetes cluster which we scanned. If we have not scanned it, we don't allow to run it. Yeah? Or you can block the containers that run as a root and so on and so forth. So, but you need to also be very careful with admission control, because we might block some pods to be running in a Kubernetes cluster. For example, if you have a registry, okay, we are doing pipeline scanning and we don't push bad images to the registry, but let's say someone else has access to the registry the other way and they are pushing images as well, and those are not scanned, then we block those and you cannot run them. Maybe you want them to run. So you need to be careful, but this is additional security layer which you can add. So IT security is really happy. They kind of get control back that what you're running. So they say that, okay, you need to scan the images. Those cannot be run as a root. And it is a good thing to do. So now when everything is okay before we run it, we scan it, we find things, and we also have admission control. Then let's move to the runtime protection. So what can we do in a runtime phase? Yeah? You might, one thing is that we can use a workload security if we have access to the Docker host. But if we don't have access, you are using containers as a service. For example, you are using maybe ECS Fargate, or you are using Lambda functions. So how you secure those? Now cloud application security comes along. But before we jump to the cloud application security, I show a couple of slides also from the workload security. So like I mentioned, we protect the host, but we also protect all the containers as well. So we scan malware inside the containers, and we also see the lateral movement, the traffic east-west between the containers. So we apply IPS rules there. So like we can protect the vulnerabilities. So if somebody is trying to jump from one container to the other one on a network level, we can block it. But application control, application security. So how can we secure those cloud native applications which companies are using? So it is micro agent, what you link into your application when you build it, basically. Or it's a micro agent that you put into your Lambda function. You add a separate layer. So what it does, it protects against exploitation of vulnerabilities. We can block SQL injections, remote command executions, illegal file access, malicious payloads, and so on and so forth. And we also give you visibility down to the line of code. If you have some vulnerability inside inside your application, we can pinpoint out what's the problem. It is minimal impact to the performance. Basically, it's 2 lines of code, and language is what we support are here. So we support Java, Node.js, PHP, Python, Ruby Rails, .NET. Of course, you need to check the versions, but I think that we are good with the new versions all the time. So what it is, yeah, agent. Well, so agent calls home to the cloud, one application service. This is like mothership here in this circle. And service recognizes the agent and gives policy accordingly back. So central server pushes down policy to the micro agent. And from that micro agent, from that point on, micro agent will run autonomously. It puts all those hooks to the function calls in your application. And when your application does one of those function calls, the traffic is redirected to the micro agent in application, and we can apply the policy. So policy has been being validated, and if a function call applies with a policy, it's all fine. Yeah? If not, we can alert and we can block that. So it's a short description how we do it. And here is example how we put it to the Dockerfile. So this is a Docker configuration, and we add here 2 lines. Yeah? We add here, it's basically a Java application, and we're in case of Java, we have a kind of Java sidecar. So here we are adding Java version of the micro agent. Its versions should be, of course, match. And the other line, we add agent as an attribute to the Java runtime. And here is if you want to secure your Lambda function. So here we have the example hello world Lambda function, and we add another layer. And in that layer we call our agent. So you have to add your access keys and secrets keys for your cloud application, and Lambda function calls home, and then we know who is that, and we can push the policy, and then the micro agent starts to protect your application. So we can run this application security everywhere. Doesn't matter if it's your Docker host or Kubernetes host, but it can be also ECS, EKS, GKA, AKS. So we protect runtime protection, we give it the OWASP top 10, yeah, and even more. We can do the zero-day protection, SQL injection, command, operating system command injection, and we are also deploying the IPS rules, so we are protecting those vulnerabilities on the network level as well. And it is designed to protect containerized and serverless applications, and it is lightweight. It's quite easy to deploy. So we do, yeah. If we could summarize it, so we detect and block attacks with IPS rules and targeting APIs, and then we identify vulnerabilities at the code level, and we scan and upload content for the malware. Okay, so if we now little reminder, if let's remind what we have done. So we are scanning those registries. We are scanning those registries when the images are going there, and we continue to scan those registries even though if the images is already running. Then we integrate to the pipeline tool so that developers, they get to know issues in early stage and they can fix them earlier. Then we apply admission control. We check that those containers, they are compliant to run. And now we apply runtime protection. If we have the access to the infrastructure, then we are using the Cloud One-Workload security to protect against the malware and vulnerabilities. And with the cloud native application security, we can secure those applications in runtime and in cloud native applications. So I have covered conformity, workload security, container security, application security. Now we jump to the file storage security. Basically, it's quite simple. Yeah, we are protecting those storages, Amazon S3 buckets, Azure Blob, Google Cloud Storage. We are scanning those for malware. We are using their file reputation, variant protection, and also machine learning. And if we find some malware, then basically we can remove the malware, we can quarantine it and delete it if needed. It's quite simple. I'm not going to deep dive into this. So if you have customers or applications where the customers are uploading files to your S3 buckets, you can scan those, you can monitor those in real time so that nobody's uploading any malware. And lastly, but not least, network security in AWS. So we have IPS in AWS. It is optimized for the AWS. It is integrated to the cloud network fabric, and we can inspect ingress and egress traffic. We can inspect traffic between the VPCs. We are applying virtual patching to protect vulnerabilities on a network level, and we are also detecting CNC traffic and blocking it, of course. And it is flexible. You don't need to re-architect your network in the cloud if you deploy it, and it does scale. So it scales up to 10 gigabit performance. This is actually physical IPS. So tipping point IPS has been in the market since already 2001. And it was built from the scratch to be the IPS, to prevent, not detect. So we cannot allow ourselves to have false positives. So what it is basically dirty traffic comes in and clean traffic goes out. It is layer 2 device. So we are doing same in AWS. And we do have their zero-day exploit protection. Because we have one of the best vulnerability research in the market. So if we know something about vulnerabilities today, we buy them from the market. So we tell the vendor that here is a new vulnerability what you have, and the vendor has 60 days to patch it. But all that time what the vendor is patching, we already are protecting our customers. We are implementing the IPS rules. We are putting IPS rules to our products. We have IPS module in the physical IPSs, in IPS in AWS, but also IPS module in workload security and also endpoint protection. So all that time, what the vendor is patching, we already are protecting. And then when the vendor comes public, everybody else start to create filters, which we already have in place. So in many cases, we have advantage there. But you can do other things with IPS, of course. So last slides, if you haven't fallen to sleep. So why Trend Micro? So it is, it is flexible. Yeah, it is. We give you the builder choice. You can use AWS, but you can also use Azure or Google platform. We integrate with them all. We have more than 70 plus cloud services supported. We support any vintage of the application. It can be containerized application. It can be serverless. It can be Lambda function. We can protect the monolithic containers or serverless, and really broad platform support. So whatever kernels or Linux flavors you are using, I'm pretty sure we can support. And it is automated, so we do integrate to the CI/CD pipeline. You can deploy security as a code, so developers really should love it. And I think it's time for all of us to be responsible in security-wise, so because it is shared responsibility in the cloud. So cloud infrastructure provider usually they take care of the infrastructure itself. They are protecting you from the DDoS attacks, and they make sure that the services are up and running. But everything what comes to the content, the workloads, containers, applications, all that security is customers' responsibility. And with those tools, I think we can protect your applications. So we have RESTful APIs available. If you think about this circle here, you plan, you code, you build, you test, you release, you deploy, you operate, you monitor, you plan. So we can actually protect all the phases here. Built-in automation. So it is out. We support auto scaling. We scale up, we scale down, because we can deploy automatically. And yes, we give you the scripts which you can use in a template, so you can deploy us really as a code, and we give you the code samples, and you can deploy also policy with the code, and so on. And of course, we have regulatory standards in our products, so you can always be sure that you are compliant with those regulations which you need to be compliant with. I already mentioned the zero-day initiative. So this is the world's biggest bug bounty program. And last year and also previously, we are market leader in vulnerabilities disclosure. Last year, we reported more than half of the vulnerabilities in market. And this is really important if you think about security and those security scanners. So everybody can scan, but if you don't have the research and knowledge, and then you don't find much. But more you know, better your threat research is, more you find. And Trend Micro is a company who is doing a lot of security products. We only do cybersecurity, but we also do a lot of research. So we do see a lot of cyber threats because we have really big companies we are protecting, and we have more than 250 million endpoints deployed all over the world, so we can get information back. We are really strong on vulnerability and exploit market. We see targeted attacks because we are offering SOC as a service to our customers, and we are using, of course, those modern techniques to prevent. So we are using machine learning, of course. We do secure IoT and OT environments. We have analysts in the cyber criminal undergrounds. They are listening and monitoring what the bad guys are doing, where they are moving. And we also do a lot of the future threat landscape. We do a lot of reports, and we try to predict what comes next. And also we are really focusing on the cloud and application security, and also looking vulnerabilities there as well. In AWS, actually, we have really good market share. So Trend is, I think, one of the biggest security vendors in AWS. And in hybrid cloud security, we have a 30% of the market share. And Forrester loves us. So last year, Forrester did a study of the cloud workload security, and they compared us to them, our competition. and Trend Micro is in really good position here, leader, far away from the competition. Thank you. Done. So this was a quick run, and I gave the overview of the security services, what we can offer you when you are moving to the cloud, building in the cloud, and using all those modern technologies.
Oh, thanks a lot, Indrek. Yeah, it's and I'm happy to see you so enthusiastic about all of that stuff. You know, I'm sure you could go like 4 hours in any of those topics deeper, but yeah, this is just an intro, so we should be good maybe on that level. Everybody, like from the audience, this is a very good time for you to raise your questions in the chat or the Q&A. Because I see none at the moment, but hopefully some will come. I have a question from my side, Indrek. Like, in your personal opinion, which of those like areas or solutions, which do you think are the most relevant ones for, I would say, like a typical AWS user in the Baltics? Maybe, you know, that's just to be more precise, let's say a mid-size fintech startup that's, you know, running a lot of stuff. It's most probably has cloud native applications, and you know, which ones do you think are the most important to them at this stage?
So if we think about this slide, yeah. So, yeah, well, in my mind, still, I'm repeating myself already, but visibility is really the key. And it depends the size of the company, and it depends how much you are using in AWS. But if you're really adopting those services in AWS, and maybe you are also already, or maybe you have multiple AWS tenants, or you are using multiple clouds, then Cloud One Conformity is really nice tool to start up. You can get the 30-day demo, you can connect it to your AWS tenant with a read-only rights, and it starts to scan, and you get the visibility of what kind of security issues you might have. If you're a fintech company, you need to be compliant with regulation and audits, and audit comes and they ask, okay, what you have done to improve your compliance, and so how you configure and how security is. So with the conformity, you can really easily show that, okay, I had those issues 2 months ago, and we are constantly fixing those, and this is what we're doing, and we are compliant with this and this and that. And so I think this is a pretty good tool. If you're running instances in the cloud, then workload security, I would say, is a must. And if you're deploying, if you're developing applications and you want to be sure that you don't release any vulnerable applications or malware applications, then you should maybe look into the container security to scan those images. So I think these are pretty useful in our market as well. I don't know how well, of course, not all of the companies are using Lambda and containers as a service, but if you're doing that, why not think about the application security, or at least try it out? So I know that for the developers, the security is kind of, so it cannot slow you down. Yeah, you need to be fast all the time. You need to deliver fast. And if security starts to slow you down, then you start to skip it. But we do actually integrate very well to different tools. So I think we are not slowing security down. So in that sense, I think most of the services are pretty relevant. So I would start from the conformity and workload security, and then move to the next ones.
Okay. Yeah, thanks a lot for your ideas. I see that no new questions have arrived, so maybe they will come after the webinar. I really encourage everybody to I guess the easiest way is just to ping me on the drop an email to Cloudvisor, or just catch me on Slack channel on the community page.
Or write me an email.
Yeah, or write an email to Indrek. Yeah, he has your email and at the very bottom. So yeah, I guess Indrek is the best source of truth to everything regarding Trend Micro and the Baltics. So then if we have no more questions from the audience, then I would like to wrap it up with a survey just to get your feedback about the event. Which is very important for me and Indrek, of course. So just one push of a button, let us know what you think about this event and the content that you just saw. And while everyone is submitting the answers, I would like to once again encourage everyone to join the AWS Community Baltics channel on Slack. I pasted the invite link in the chat. I'm sure you'll find a lot of useful information there, and like-minded people, like for example myself and a lot of people like from AWS themselves or from Cloudvisor. Indrek, is there anything you would like to add? I'm ending the poll.
No, I think I'm fine. I have told almost everything I know. So.
And we can see the results. It seems like everybody is happy with the content, so it's really worthwhile. And like I mentioned before, we'll be sharing the recording with everybody afterwards, so you can look through more deeply if you want to repeat something or miss some ideas. So looks like that's a wrap for the event, and so thank you everyone for attending, and we're looking forward to seeing you in our Cloudvisor events. Most probably this is the last one we're having this year, as reInvent is coming next, within a week, and it's three whole weeks this year and online. So we'll most probably have plenty of content regarding AWS to look at till the end of the year, and we'll see everybody in January.
And I think you can find Trend Micro in this event as well. So
I'm sure of that. I saw that there's at least 3 sessions with Trend Micro in the event, so should be very interesting as well. So thanks once again, and until next time, everybody. Thanks, Indrek.
Thank you.